Good morning, and today is Saturday, October 7th, and welcome to Zoom with Czarny. This is my interview show that I have with democracy advocates and candidates for office. Today, I'm talking to the Village of Solvay Democratic slate. The Village of Solvay is a unique village in Onondaga County. It's one of the largest villages. In fact, it is the largest village. It's actually larger than a couple of the towns that we have in Onondaga County, because of its unique nature, it has a ward system inside the village itself. That means that candidates aren't elected village-wide; they're elected inside wards, which are neighborhoods inside each, three different neighborhoods, and they actually have two representatives from each of the three neighborhoods elected on 4-year terms, and they also have an elected mayor. This is a lot of elected representation for a village, and one of the reasons is its size, but also they have their own power company. There's a lot of unique things to Solvay, New York, and it's also unique as a village that it runs as a partisan village, and it always has. That means representatives traditionally run on Democratic and Republican lines when they're running for office, and Democrats have had control of the village, but for the last 2 years, the Republicans have had total control of the Village of Solvay. Before that, Democrats lost the mayorship to controversial Mayor Derek Biaki back in 2017, and he did win a re-election by 10 votes or something like that in 2021. But throughout that time period, until 2021, Democrats retained control of the village board. Now, for the last 2 years, Democrats do not have control of the village board as well as as the mayorship. So those are my dogs going off in the background, so don't bother them. They're not too happy about that either, apparently. So we have a great conversation about that. I am running a little late this week, but I'm hopeful that I'll get back on schedule next week with my content. We are getting into the heart of the election season. Absentee ballots have already gone out for the general election this year. And if you need one, go to onvote.net. And that will get you an absentee ballot. You can check your registration there. And early voting starts October 28th. So we are right around the corner, 3 weeks away from the real start of the general election in terms of in-person voting. So stay tuned, and I hope to see you around. Enjoy my interview with the Village of Solvay Democratic candidates. Bye-bye. And we're back, and I'm so happy to have my new and old friends who are Democrats running for the Village of Solvay. Joe Miczan, who's running for first ward, Chuck Orr, who's running for second ward, and my old friend Deb DeGilio, who's running again for re-election in the third ward in Solvay. Thank you so much for coming on Zoom with Czarny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Winston.
Thank you for having us.
You know, Solvay is a unique village in Onondaga County. It's the largest village, but it's also a partisan village that runs on party lines and also runs in November elections. So these are huge differences in many of the other villages that we've seen. And you've been doing this, well, November elections since 2017, but you've been a partisan village forever. And I think in a huge village, you have your own power company. Of course, you got the fairgrounds there. It's a lot to manage. And so the village government of Solvay is not a small thing, and running for it is not a small thing. But a lot of people may not know who you are. So I'm gonna kind of start and ask, just tell me a little bit about yourself. So Joe, we're gonna start with you, and we'll go right through the numbers here, first, second, third for this round. Joe Miczan, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, for everyone that doesn't know me, anyone that doesn't know me, I am a lifelong Solvay resident. This is my hometown. I grew up here. I bleed orange and blue. We're lucky enough to share colors with SU. And I spend my time outside of running for first ward trustee as a teacher in the Solvay school districts, working with the next generation of Solvay residents as a social studies teacher, trying to get them ready to face the civic issues that are challenging our world today. And I also work coaching athletics. I coach football, cheerleading, and baseball, working with a number of kids that way. And I really like to dig in and spend my time helping get kids to a point that they didn't see in themselves, really helping them reach their potential and things like that. And I would say that's who I am. I am an educator. I am someone who spends my life, and that's my life's work, working with kids.
And Chuck, same question to you. Tell me a little bit about Chuck Orr.
Well, I started working at Solvay at Allied Chemical back in 1973, and 1974. I'm sorry. And I worked there till it closed. I went away for about 4.5 years till they reopened the plant. I went back there, stayed there till they closed at 13. Transferred to Texas with the company for 5 years, came back, moved into Solvay. My son is a lifelong resident of Solvay. Lived with him, bought a house here in Solvay, was retired for about 1.5 years, took the Solvay DPW superintendent's job for 2 years, and retired from that. I have a lot of interest in the village of Solvay. I have interest in the power company since my son works. That's his living there, and with the issues we're having with it, I'm looking to get that, working on that. I have 7 grandchildren. Spend time with them. We go camping. I truly love Solvay. You know, we need to keep it going. I mean, you said it yourself. It's a unique town, village. It's basically where I'm at.
Thanks, Chuck. And Deb, same question to you. People may remember you were on 2 years ago. You've been a village third ward representative for I think 4 years now. But they may not. There's a lot of new people. A lot of people register to vote for the first time, watching this for the first time. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Deb.
Yeah, so like you said, I've been on the board for 4 years now, ending December of this year. And I did a bid for mayor, in which I lost by 12, 13 votes. You might know more, but the specific, but 2 years ago. So myself personally and my family, I'm a 4th generation Solvay resident. Both my mother and my father's family came from Italy many moons ago. I right now I live in my family home that my great grandfather and grandfather built. So I have a lot of family here. I grew up here. I had a lovely childhood here. My father also was a lineman for Solvay Electric, so I have my heart is close to the electric. Like Chuck said, we're having some problems now with finances. So my main goal, which we'll talk later, is really to make sure the electric fund, because of the uniqueness, like you said, this is one of our unique things, is our electric. So growing up, I spent a lot of time at the pool, the youth center. One of my favorite places is the library. So I just want to make sure that they're all continuing to thrive. And I want to continue to stay here. So that's why I've been active. I got active a few years before I ran, and I hope to stay active to move towards progress.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's great to see such a, you were all Solvay residents. You are longtime Solvay natives, have huge ties to the community. Obviously, Deb's been on the village board, and but Joe and Chuck, you've been members of the community for a very long time. But Deb, you're running for re-election. Joe and Chuck, you're running for your first time. I think people want to know why. It takes a lot of time out of your personal life to do this. If you win, it's even more time because you're going to have a lot of constituent service. You're not going to get paid a lot of money. So why run? Why are you running for local office? We'll start with you, Chuck.
I'm running, like I say, we have different issues here going on in the village. And everybody's aware there's a lot of back and forth arguing, and I'd love, although that'll probably never go away. But the main issue here is what's attractive to people in Solvay is the electric. You know, that's huge as far as affordability and drawing people, draw business. Because like Dwight Park down in Lakeland, that's all part of Village of Solvay Electric. You have West Rock, which you know, the Solvay Electric brought them into town. It was originally Solvay Paperboard. I worked at the power plant across the street from there. I would love to see the village prosper. You know, like say we talked a little bit about the money issues with the electrical department. You know, we need to figure out what's happening there. How can we fix it? You know, and work on that and work as a team, not as independents. You know, yes, we are Republicans. Yes, you are a Democrat, but that shouldn't matter. What matters is the people of Solvay to make their future here better, you know, to keep people, to draw people. You know, we need to work together and not draw lines. You know, we have a chance to prosper here, to do great things. That's what I'm looking for.
Awesome. And Deb, you're running for re-election. What made you decide to run again and run for re-election?
Well, okay, again, because the first time I ran was part of the same reasoning, is that I'm getting older. I would like to stay in this house. And I want to see the village be safe and clean and a thriving community to live in. Over the years, as I see problems or issues in the village that just don't seem to be getting tackled. So like Chuck says, you know, we have our expenditures in the electric fund have been high for some time. I feel personally from my experience on the board that they could have been taken care of and they weren't. So one of my main goals is to see that through, that we get the organization and the help we need to make sure our electric department is able to continue. And we will see higher rates regardless because of clean energy and all that other stuff and energy rates going up. But we want to make sure that, again, the unique village we have with the municipal electric stays. Also, because I feel in the last 4 years, there's things that I ran on regarding infrastructure and codes that have gone nowhere. I don't see any real progress. And I also feel that like the management and organization I see in the village administration is like a kickball league is run better than what I've experienced. So I really think we need an overhaul with new people and collaborative. Also, like Chuck says, there's a big divide for no reason. And so I hope to, you know, work together, just like I know Chuck and Joe agree that we'll get more progress if we work together and there's no what's the word, less derisive or approach to management.
So yeah, and Joe, now to you. You're a first-time candidate. Why are you running for Solvay Village Board?
So one of my favorite sayings is that it takes a village to raise a man, and I finished that up with, I was raised in the best village on earth, and that being Solvay. I am who I am because of where I come from, and I think Chuck put it perfectly. It's the people of the village, and that's why I'm running, to be a representative of this next generation of Solvay residents, to face these challenges, like with the electric department, like with the infrastructure, like with youth delinquency, like we're seeing, like with all of these issues that we are worried about I want to be someone that the people of this village can continue to count on to be their voice, to speak up for them and be honest with them about what we need to address and what is going to take to address these things. That's not always going to be an easy conversation, but someone needs to be willing to have that conversation. And we need to have someone in this position that is going to spearhead, like Deb and Chuck have both said, collaborative efforts where we tackle issues, we don't ignore them, we don't pass them over, we don't push them on down the road. We handle them. And I want to be the person that the village that raised me can count on, because I knew I could always count on the village. I knew that in my times of need and any time growing up where I needed somewhere to go, I would find something in the village. I would find someone, I would have a program either at the youth center or the library. And I think that it's my time now to give back and do that for others. And I've been blessed and fortunate to have a good education, to get a good career. And now I have the freedom, I have the voice, I have the mind to not use that to help others would be a waste. And that's why I'm running, so I don't waste that.
So all three of you have kind of touched on maybe a little bit of the issues in Solvay, but I think this is the part of the podcast that I do ask about what are some of the issues that you think the voters or that Solvay's doing wrong or lacking or that you think could do a little bit better. Now's the time to kind of get into that. It's probably fitting that we're starting with Deb here, who's been on the board and ran for mayor and has had to deal with some of the communication issues from the current Solvay government and so Deb, what are some of the issues that you want the voters to know about that you believe Solvay can do better on?
Well, I always say Solvay's 1.2 square miles. I just believe that it's a small area, and I have no doubt that we can make changes. I don't feel there's enough planning, whether it be budget planning, project planning, multi-year planning. There's no real mission or set goals that are established. So I do believe that, first of all, we need to ask the residents, what do you want this village to be? What do you want to see in this village? And then go from there and make short and long-term goals and take incremental steps, which I think are important towards that goal. Is everything ever always going to go perfectly? Absolutely not. But that's why you take incremental steps to see what works and doesn't. A big thing here is our infrastructure. I think everybody knows right now our roads are in very bad shape. Our drainage is in bad shape. I know New York State and the federal government have put a lot of money out there available for roads. So I know residents are having problems. They're having water in their houses, and the drainage is just really poor. So I think that's the most important issue from an infrastructure point of view, to get the money and budget what we need to support our DPW in doing work, because at this point they really are just doing a couple of things because we don't have enough labor and we don't have enough funding for them to do it. Codes is a long-term problem in Solvay. We really have never got a really well-managed codes department. It's hard to find people. It's hard to get employee retainment here. So we really need to start from codes from the bottom up. And again, which is, I stress a lot that everyone is treated with equanimity, and one person doesn't get one code and another person doesn't get another code answered differently. So I know those are two physical things for codes for safety and in the village. Also, but again, regarding safety, the policing, community policing, I know a lot of people don't feel as safe as they used to here. So that's another issue that I like to hit and see how we can move towards that. And like I said, I just don't feel like any of that has been hit head on and there's been any progress in that. I also have an affinity towards parks, but I could go on forever. So I'll just end there. So those guys, so Joe and Chuck can put their 2 cents in.
So I apologize. You're going to hear a lot of dog barking on my end, but I'm going to mute It's on me because my dogs are greeting the pizza guy. But we're gonna go to you, Joe. Joe, what are some of the things that Solvay can do a little bit better?
So Deb touched on some of the key issues like infrastructure with our roads and drainage and all of these things, particularly in the first ward. Drainage has been a huge problem. The Montrose Ave intersection is something that is constantly of worry for residents in this ward, and it's something that I would like to get involved more in if I were to be elected. On top of that, I think Deb mentioned her affinity for parks, and I too have an affinity for parks. I've mentioned it a few times now already, but the ability to give our youth somewhere to go and have a safe and constructive environment with adequate planning and the necessary programs to keep them out of trouble is something that's near and dear to my heart. And I think it also touches on the community policing issue. If we can keep kids involved, active, and engaged, and outside of some of the seedier elements that we have seen an unfortunate portion of our young residents fall into in recent years, that is aiding to resident concerns, I think we would be better off. And I think giving kids the opportunity to succeed before they reach that point is something that we as a village can do if we properly manage our resources, if we have goals, if we have the type of planning, if we have the type of incremental increases that Deb was mentioning that we haven't had. It really comes back to the main issue is administrative oversight. Having some type of body that can make sure that things are being proportioned, things are being spent the way that they are, and that there's a transparent element that everyone who is involved in the decision-making process is informed with that proper information that they haven't always been given.
And Chuck, on to you. What are some of the things that Solvay is not doing well, or that you think that you can help improve upon?
Well, I'm going to piggyback on them a little bit. Like I said, my background being in the power industry, construction work, and being the highway DPW superintendent for a couple of years is infrastructure. I've been around it, I've seen it, I've worked it. The roads, sidewalks, and again, the drainage is huge here in Solvay. There's a lot of areas that need to be touched on. There's a lot of drainage issues. We have roadways that are in bad shape. We also communications. The communications within the village, with working with the village, sometimes is laxing quite a bit. I'd love to work on getting that. The power to keep the Solvay Electric going. That, like I say, without that, this village will be hugely impacted by, if we ever had to go to National Grid. People that aren't fortunate like we are to have our own municipality, to see this cost savings that is great. I mean, again, that's what draws business to this area, to Lakeland, Dwight Park area, the old PNC warehouse down there. Just in itself here, there's potential is great here, and I don't think we're using resources to the best of our ability where we could use them here. Again, it's everybody has their own areas that they're stronger in, and I think infrastructure here and the power industry and our energy and communications is the big thing here that I want to work on. I think I could improve on it.
Yeah, obviously there's been a lot of news about Solvay, a lot of news about the current mayor, and that's tapped down a little bit in terms of the personality issues, but the structural issues seem to still be there, and that's why we're still talking about the Solvay power, the checks that were written out of the power fund and all of that, and whether that was proper. And I know there's an investigation on that. You can't comment on it. I don't know anything about it, so I can't comment on it. But I didn't want the viewers to think that we were skirting around that issue. It's just not something that that anybody on this podcast can talk with authority on. So it's out there. It's in the news. You got the people can read about that. But I'd like to turn now to just kind of talking about running. Running for office in a village. It's the largest village, but still a small area. Yeah, and you're running even smaller because you're in wards. And they're a little bit different wards than they were 2 years ago because redistricting happened. Although I think the village of Solvay, did a fine job on their redistricting. It didn't look like it was overtly partisan, or at least not like it was with the county ledge or anything like that. But you're in brand new wards. You're running for the first time. Two of you are, anyways. So, what are you planning on doing for the next 6 weeks to get your message out to voters and see and hopefully be able to win in the fall? And we'll start with you, Joe.
So, to get the message out there and to meet voters over the next few weeks, like you said, I'm going to be going door to door to every single person in the first ward. I want to meet with them. I want to talk with them. I don't care if they tell me there's no chance in heck that they're going to vote for me. I want to hear what their complaints are. I want to hear why they don't want to vote for me and what part that my opponent has that I don't have that they wish I could do. And if that's something that is going to benefit the village, then I'm open to hearing it. On top of that, we have a number of events that I'm sure you'll hear about coming forward. But off the top of my head, September 30th, we will be holding a meet and greet at Gracie's in Solvay on Charles Ave. October 11th, we will all be at the Town of Geddes Democrats fundraiser at the Bridge Street Tavern. And then the week after that, we will be hosting our own fundraiser at the Tyrol Club in Solvay. And all three of those are going to be great chances to meet with the voters, hear what issues they have on their minds. And on top of that, I've spent a lot of time already at community events talking to people. I went to the Solvay Field Days this past August. I've been, as a member of the Solvay football staff, I was a part of 2 youth camps, so I got to meet with a number of people that way. And even outside of my ward, I found it's an interesting time because people might know me, but they might not have been invested in village politics before this. So it's been a really good opportunity to discuss where these people live and who they have representing them and how we've decided to choose the ward system and what benefits the ward system itself has for such a small community with such a diverse and unique group of residents. So that's a little bit about what I've been doing and what we have coming forward. And it's been really great to get to speak with all these people.
And Chuck, your first time candidate as well. What are you planning on doing over the next 6 weeks to introduce yourself to voters?
Started going door to door, introducing myself. Again, being the DPW superintendent for a couple of years, I met a lot of residents. I'd be going back around. I went to every place then, like say from where my ward starts till it ends. I'll be going door to door, introducing myself and asking questions. What can I answer for you? What can I do for you if I do get elected? This is what we need to know so we can work on these issues. And again, the fundraisers are a great way of meeting people. It's just it's face to face.
That's right. Well, I mean, and in village wards, you actually do have that unique opportunity to have that ability to go and meet every person who will be your constituent, and if you win elections. So that's great.
Yes.
Ed, this is your third time now. What are you planning on doing over the next 6 weeks?
Well, First of all, I agree. Door to door is most important. Is getting out and seeing the people, which Chuck and I just went the other day. It's really enjoyable just speaking to the residents. And we had one successful fundraiser already at Mikey's that I'll say that went very well. And Joe mentioned the other events we have coming up. I also will have a letter that I will get out to my residents in the third ward. My ward did not change very much. I added like 2 blocks, so there's not a really big, like you said, discrepancy or anything going on with the ward changes here. They're even, a little bit more even now, so that's good. Also, we'll be doing some phone banking, but just, normal, election, things that you got to do. But I do agree that door to door is the most important. And we've got a lot of help. We've got some people that are going to help us out door to door. We're working with Gaddis, and we're working with Gaddis on fundraisers. So we got a lot going on, and I hope we're successful for each candidate, every level.
So we're getting kind of towards the end of that time that I like to have on this podcast. People stop listening after so much time, but I also kind of want to end with my favorite question, which is, what haven't we talked about? This is your open opportunity. You can talk. You can tell me anything about yourself, your campaign, or an issue happening in Solvay that perhaps we didn't touch on yet, that you want the voters to remember when they're going to the polls. And we're going to start with you, Chuck. So what haven't we talked about right now, and you want the voters to know?
That's a tough question, right?
A loaded question, right? I know.
I want to stay positive. I don't want to get into negativity stuff. It's, as I said, it's better that we get along and do what we do for the people. Yeah, we do have issues. We have financial issues. We have personnel issues. As far as I see, we've come across it. You can't get too in depth with it, without coming across, for me, putting yourself across the wrong way. Want to stay positive. It's try to stay positive. Try to keep the negativity. There's enough of it out there right now. So I really don't have a lot.
Well, that's good. I think voters respond to positivity. You can talk about the issues without getting negative, and I think all of you have done that on this podcast so far. Deb, what haven't we talked about? What's something that you want people to know?
I want people to know that in my position, I expect a level of professionalism and kindness. I think if we get along and enjoy each other, we will start from the inside out. So yes, not saying anything negative. I've had a hard time in the last 4 years, and I just want to move past that, where everyone gets a chance to speak and everybody gets to speak their mind, and we represent the residents as well as we possibly can. And to do that, we've got to have discussions where everybody's voice is heard. And I think that's what's most important in democratic governments, is that people are treated equally and everybody's voice is heard. And so I will move forward with that. I'm a tough Italian cookie. I expect a level of ethics and civility that may be lacking a little, but I'm, again, like Chuck, let's do this. We can do it. So try again.
I don't think anybody denies that you are tough. You've been hanging in there for the last 4 years, and you've been the ire of some of the most reprehensible rhetoric that I've seen out there. And but you're just doing your work for the citizens and to let them know about what's going on, and I appreciate that. Well, Joe, we started with you. We're going to end with you. What haven't we talked about?
I think we've touched on a lot and almost everything. The one thing that I'd say we haven't talked about is the importance of actually coming out and voting. There was a number of Solvay residents who in the election 2 years ago who decided not to vote for mayor, even though they voted. And that might have been the difference between Deb being our mayor and the current incumbent. And that's unfortunate. And there's a number of Solvay residents every year who do not vote, whether that is the recent immigrant population, whether it is the recent population that moves in from the city, whether for whatever reason it's the people who don't vote that I think need to be heard the most. And I would really like to see a greater surge of them come out and represent themselves and hopefully have their voice heard this year in November.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Joe. Obviously, I'm a big fan of voting, but that's one of the stories of 2 years ago that people just didn't talk about. Is that it was after 4 or 5 years of increasingly active participation, there was a big drop off in 2021. It was a 6-year low in turnout, and we saw a little bit of that come back last year. So I'm hoping that we'll see a little bit more activity this year compared to 2 years ago, and maybe even compared to 4 years ago. It is something but having you 3 candidates out there, having the 4 Geddes candidates out there, working together, that's just going to help people remind them that we do have a bill. We do have this election this year, and if we can get just a little bit more turnout, we can have really good results. So I just want to thank all of you for coming on my show, and also, most importantly, I want to thank all of you for running. It's hard to run for local office. It's hard to put your name out there. You're never going to make any money off of it. You're not going to get any fame off of it. All you're going to get is a lot of phone calls from your constituents hoping that you can solve their problems. And that's why you're doing it. And that is something that is, honorable. And I want to thank you for running. So thank you for running, and thank you for coming on Zoom with Czarny.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
And that was my interview with the Village of Solvay Democratic candidates. Sorry I'm a little late with this episode this week. It's been kind of a rough week trying to get some stuff ready for the general election. We're in the middle of testing our equipment at the Board of Elections, and it's brand new equipment, so we have a lot of stuff going on, and that's taking up a lot of my attention. But I do plan on continuing with my content schedule. Tomorrow, the weekly walk will be Onondaga County Legislative District 10. I'll be including that in my weekly walks. I'm almost done with actually all of the competitive races that is going on this year. So Onondaga County Legislative District 10 is coming up. Then Commissioner Carr on Tuesday, we will know the outcome of the Onondaga County budget. So I'll talk a little bit about that and go over how to register to vote and get a little preview of that, as we're getting into the last few days of the county into the 2023 general election. Zoom and Czarny next week. I'll be talking to the town of Skaneateles, my alma mater, town supervisor candidate Chris Legg and town judge candidate Ralph DeMasi. We had a great conversation. I can't wait to bring that to you. That'll be Thursday of next week. Sooner or later, I'll be getting a Czarny seminar out about how to register to vote before the last week of registration, and that'll be coming out on a weekend sometime in the next couple of weeks. So check that out. All right, that's all I got for you today. Go to DustinCzarny.com to remember to subscribe, and you can for free. It's always free. I never take any outside money, no advertising. It's all I put that all together myself on my own time, just so you can get your election news and my content all in one place if you wish. But of course, I'm on all of the different Facebook, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, LinkedIn, and yes, now TikTok as well. So check all that out. You can find the links to all of that at DustinCzarny.com. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.